Hey guys, gonna do a video on doing the killer towel bin fix on a P-pump 12 valve. Anyways, I got an engine sitting here, and it's the engine we've used for a couple of these things. But anyways, we'll show you that, and then guess we'll get after it. All right, so let's get this stuff ripped apart here. We are going to pull the sensor off. And this thing's super crusty. If your truck's this crusty, you guys probably should be washing your stuff a little more often. And I don't know, this thing looks like it sat in the ocean for a year. But this is just the way I got it. So, but anyways, this 13 mil, being that everything's crusty, this thing's gonna fight me probably right to the end, I'd imagine. Okay, so pull sensor off. This is two pieces. So just make sure that when you put it back together, you get it the right way. There's the groove here for the top of the sensor, and then it is adjustable up and down like I was talking. You want to make sure you set it. And then there is a little clip in there, and that's just to hold the wire pinched, right? So I'm just gonna tuck this up out of our way. Now these bolts are way longer. I don't have a deep socket that's long enough for these. So, like I said, this engine's like, of course, probably not going to be easy to get off for me. Oh, went on one. So, all I did was just go get a 10 mil 6 point. Oh, there we go. I know some of you guys probably will have, I'd imagine most guys aren't going to be dealing with ones that are that crusty anyway, but like I said, this thing's, I don't know where it's sat. But, so you get that pulled off. With a harmonic balancer, hopefully it's not stuck on too bad. So now we got that off. Now what I would recommend to do, if your engine's this crusty, I really like to power wash them first, but it's not always the case that you can do that. At the very least, when you get to this point, what I would recommend doing is taking an air blower and brake clean. You don't really want to pull out crap in your hand. So crap blowed off for here. I just covered the camera because I didn't want to get the camera all covered in crap. So these bolts are all 10 mil, and then some are longer than others. I'll show you. So that's going to be your length difference. And other than that, they're all the same. They're all the same length long and all the same length short. And you can't really screw it up because if you know, that bolt goes there and that bolt won't go in there, so it's not a huge deal. But let's just get this baby pulled apart. Someone has actually been into this before, so it actually might even have a killer dowel pin fix already. It was definitely leaking, nothing else. But as you can see, somebody's been in there with silicone, so. Nonetheless, I would still pull it apart and check, because it's not a good time when these things break. It does all kinds of havoc. If you're lucky, it only breaks a couple things. Not camshaft and spin the gear on the crank and all that stuff. So just make sure you get all the bolts out. Usually this will just have a gasket on it, but like I said, this one's been apart. And it does not have a fix on it, but there's no dowel pin. So the dowel pin, either somebody took the dowel pin out or it fell out. If it fell out, they got super lucky. And it didn't hit anything. There's no chunks out of the gear or anything, so. Oh no, it did fall out. Yeah, it definitely fell out. Definitely got lucky that it didn't hurt anything. So anyways, if you look right there, you can see there's no dowel pin in the hole. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but this is where the dowel pin usually would be. Right there. But anyways, there's no dowel pin in this one, so I guess we don't have to worry about it falling out again. I use a fender washer to build the tab for this. So these are like, I don't know, 25 cents. All you need is a pair of tin snips. Hopefully these tin snips are going to cut this for me, because they're not great. Oh yeah, we're good. I was going to say they're not very good tin snips, but they're a little on the rough side. But you could, there again, I guess you could cut this with anything. And some of these cases have a step in them. This one doesn't have a step, but you can do the exact same thing. You just need to leave it long so that it reaches. And there's a bunch of different ways to do this. So in this case, if you drive the pin back in, you can peen the case, which is just literally taking, well, usually you would take a punch, but I have a screwdriver here. You would just take it and you would just drive it in there, you know, on four corners. Then the pin can't walk out. Personally, what I do when we're rebuilding these things, I actually pull the dowels out with a puller if they're stuck in there real good. I mar them up with a pair of vice grips, and then I drive them back into the block again, so it'd never fall out. But we still put a tab on them, just because, you know, guys take it apart and say they don't see the tab, and yeah, all hell breaks loose. So tab, I don't know if this is gonna be the right shape here yet, but so we gotta trim a little bit. Oop. Don't drop this inside the engine if you can help it. Actually, I guess if you're worried about dropping it, you could take one of your long bolts and just use that for a guide, so then you don't have to worry about dropping it in there. I've never dropped one in there, but I guess it is possible to drop it in there. So you want to get the tab, as I say that, I almost drop it in there. So, and like I said, you can buy these things, or you can make one. You can make it out of a piece of tin, for that matter. And that is literally, so I'll show you what shape it is. That's what it looks like. Cut it. Like I said, it's just a fender washer. Nothing special about it. Still on the end of your bolt. Loctite. I always recommend anything on these things, Loctite everything. Make sure you get it up out of the way. And then torque it, 25 foot-pounds. And something else that I recommend as well as that is any of the bolts that you can see. There's one here, this one, your oil pump bolts. I recommend to, the oil pump bolts you don't have to, they very seldom ever come loose. But the ones that hold the case together, I recommend pulling them out Loctite, tighten them back in again. Torques back on them is, I think it's 27 foot-pounds. That's what we torque everything to on these things as far as these little bolts, 27 foot-pounds. But Loctite everything. Green is retaining compound, but blue Loctite definitely your friend. I recommend Loctiting all of this stuff. 27 foot-pounds. Personally, when we're putting these on, if you're replacing this, if you have a part like this, you can actually see where somebody has already run silicone across here, so likely it was leaking. Personally, if you got this all apart and clean, I would recommend putting a bead of silicone in there and smoothing it out, because that gasket, a lot of times after you're in here playing around, this gasket will start leaking on you. So if you put a bead of silicone, smooth it out with your finger, it will keep this part of the gasket from leaking, and then, or sometimes it'll leak across the back too, but you can only do so much, right? But if you're doing this, I would definitely recommend putting that silicone in there. Better safe than sorry, and you can make it look nice. You know, this one been in there for a long time, so it's not that nice looking, but you can make it look nice. I recommend doing that, and that's what we do on all of the ones that we do. So that literally is as easy as doing the killer dowel pin. You're going to need to put a new front seal in here. If you're going to case sealant this or RTV it, or put the gasket in there, whichever. We personally use case sealant on them. This one actually has a gasket and sealant, but you literally just slide that on there like that. And with, well, when it's the right size, it'll pull through. That one's not the right size, so it's not going to want to pull through for me. But anyways, there again, you guys get the idea. So you would just pull this out. You know your seal's not rolled. You're good there. Put all your bolts in. Make sure you lock tight. Especially the long ones. The short ones you don't have to, but the long ones you want to make sure you lock tight. 27 foot-pounds. And then you put your fan hub, your fan back on, your fill again. If you want, you can, there is an O-ring on these. Right here you can replace, and then there's another O-ring right here. And you know, like, if it's gone hard where you can't move it at all, like this one's been sitting forever and I can still stick my fingernail into it, so I wouldn't worry about using that one over again. But yeah, if you got a gasket set, you know, don't get me wrong, use a new one. But so anyways, you put your fan hub back on, that stuff, and yeah, you're good to go. Killer dowel pin is fixed. Yeah, that's all there is to it. Harmonic balancer back on, obviously, fan, you know, all that stuff that you've taken off to get in there. But other than that, that's as easy it is to do the killer dowel pin fix. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching the video. If you have any comments, any of that type of stuff, hit me up down below. Please subscribe if you want to see more content. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.